Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thanks for taking the time to come and see what I'm all about. Today we're going to make the women's Alpine by Boo and Lou. It's a brand new pattern just released, so I'm excited to make it. It looks super cute. I am going to use this gray sweatshirt fleece. It's a little bit lighter weight than a traditional fleece, so I think it'll make the sweater kind of drape nicely on me. I'm going to do the Tulip front bodice, which is pretty unique. So yeah, I think it's gonna turn out nice in this sweater fleece. And then for the cuffs and the neckband, I'm gonna use this gray ribbing. It's not an exact match, but I think it'll do. So there's that. Let's talk about noises you might hear in the background of the video. I have a heater on and it's like right here, so sorry. And B, my baby monitor is on, so again, like I said in a previous video, I kind of want to keep my kids alive. So yeah, you might hear some noise. As always, I will put the chapters down below in the description box. So if you want to see any certain part of the tutorial, you can go ahead and click around. Everything will be time-stamped for you. And that is it. So if you want to see me sew it up, stick around. Okay, here are the options for this pattern. You can do a simple or a tulip front sweater. You can have short or long sleeves with optional cuffs. There is an optional waistband for the simple sweater. And then for the neckband, you can do a gathered neckband or a simple V neckband. All right, so I am making the gathered V-neck option with the tulip front. So here are my pieces. I have my two tulip front pieces, my back bodice, my gathered V-neck, two cuffs, and two sleeves. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. The back bodice, you will notice, has a seam in it. It is not supposed to. I forgot to cut it. And then I started to lay out the pieces to film this portion, and I said, wait a minute, I missed something. And it's funny too, because I actually went back and checked and made sure that I had all the pieces. So I don't know. So needless to say, I didn't have enough fabric to cut this piece as a whole piece. So I had to cut two separate ones, add some seam allowance, and then sew them together. Not a big deal, but I'm so annoyed by that. Oh well. Okay. So step one, you're going to lay your back bodice right sides up. And if you see my head in any of the shots, yes, I have a towel on it. I just got out of the shower. So, okay, so lay your back bodice right side up, and then you're going to put your tulip front pieces right sides down on the bodice. So let's see, how do these go? I think like this. No. This. Yeah. So, not sure how well you can see this, but this is the V-neck. So that part should be up here towards the back neckline. I'm going to match up the top of the shoulder seams here and the sleeve, and then I guess it'll go down the side seam here. It says align the side seams of the bodice front and back, right sides together, pin together, and then sew. So let me pin one, and then I'll pin the second one. All right, so that's one pinned only on the side seam. Then I'm going to go ahead and add my second piece. Again, right sides down because I want the right sides together. Match that up. You'll have some overlap here with the two pieces. And then go through and pin this side seam. All right, here's what that looks like with those all pinned on. The seam allowance for this pattern is 3/8 of an inch, so go ahead and sew those two with a 3/8 inch seam allowance and then meet me back here. Okay. Now, I'm gonna lay it out like this. Okay, and now we're gonna hem. So we're gonna start at the top shoulder, so right up here. Let's start here. Our hem is gonna be a 1/2 inch, so we're gonna start here, hem all the way down this front, continue through the entire bottom of the back bodice, if I could speak, and then keep going back up across this other front piece and then stop at the other shoulder piece. Wow, I could not get that out. So 1/2 inch hem that, and then meet me back here. All right, we're rolling right along here. We got our hem done. Looks beautiful. Now you're gonna lay this as if it were sewn. So put it wrong sides up and then fold. You're going to match everything up. So fold your first tulip piece up, match your shoulder seams there. This smaller part is going to match up to this shoulder seam like that. And then repeat that with your second piece. And what you're going to do is sew your shoulders. So wait, this is wrong. Don't do what I just did. You want to sew these right sides together. So glad I caught that. Okay. So take 2. Right sides up, matching right sides together. Match everything up here. And then you're going to sew your shoulders. Now, there's going to be 3 layers. You're going to have the back bodice, 1 tulip piece, and the second tulip piece. So make sure you're catching all 3 pieces in your shoulder seam, especially for the one that's under the larger piece here that you're not going to see. Just make sure you're catching all 3 pieces. So pin both of those, sew with a 3/8 inch seam allowance, and then meet me back here. All right, here's what it's looking like so far. If you hear that rumbling in the background, that is my furnace. All right, so set that aside for a minute and grab your sleeves. And you're going to put your sleeves right sides together. We're going to do an inset sleeve. Match up the long ends here, pin both of those, and sew together with the 3/8 inch seam allowance. All right, we have our sleeves sewn up. You want to take those and turn them right sides out. And what you're going to do is inset the sleeves. So I'm going to open up my bodice like this. And you're going to put the sleeve in. You're going to match the sleeve seam with the underarm seam, excuse me. Stick it in there. Match those 2 up. And then finish pinning all the way around. And then go ahead and sew that on with the 3/8 inch seam allowance, and then repeat that with the other side. All right, we are almost done. When I saw this, I thought it might be pretty quick and easy pattern, and it is turning out to be exactly that. Okay, so we have our sleeves in. Next is the neckband. So what you're gonna do is grab your neckband and fold it in half, wrong sides together lengthwise. So I'm just gonna go ahead and press this, and while I'm at it, I'm gonna go ahead and also press my cuffs in half. So I'll be right back. Okay, we have our neckband pressed. Next, you're gonna take both of these short edges and sew a gathering stitch on each of them. You can do one, you can do two. I'm lazy, I just typically do one. So sew a basting stitch on each of those short ends, and then we're gonna come back and gather it. All right, so I have my basting stitches sewn. The next step is to gather it. There is a chart in the tutorial. The size that you are making will determine how much you're gonna gather these. So refer to that chart. And for me, that is 3.75 inches. So when I'm finished gathering, this should be 3.75 inches. Okay, that looks good. Next step is to lay the neckband out with the raw edge towards you. So here's my folded edge, here are my raw edges, and then it says bring one side down like this, okay, and then the other side like this, matching the bottom raw corners together. So like this, gonna have this sort of shape. This corner should match with this corner, okay? Then it says to baste the gathered edges into place 1/4 of an inch from the raw edge, and then come back and quarter the neckband. So I am going to baste this edge and this edge. All right, I just want to really quickly show you what it looks like pinned, because it is a little bit finicky because of the gathers, and especially this ribbing that I'm using is pretty thick, so I had to manipulate it a little bit just to get everything to match up. But here's how it looks pinned and on the bottom. So once again, I'm just going to go ahead and baste that point. All right, so we basted the neckband. Here's what it looks like. And the other side. Okay, so we have a nice point. And then we are supposed to divide this into quarters. So I'm going to go ahead and divide it up. Next, you're going to sew a stay stitch on the front of your V neckline here. So, I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is baste this entire neckline together so that my pieces stay together. I don't think the tutorial calls for that, and doing my stay stitch here will keep them together, at least down here, but I want to make sure that they're, you know, together all the way up. So I'm just quickly pinning this V neckline together, and what I'm going to do is just baste this entire neckline together. And I think what I'll probably do is just use that basting stitch as my stay stitching. So the tutorial says to do a stay stitch about 1.5 inches up, go down, pivot, and then go back up another 1.5 inches for your V-neck. So I'm just gonna, you know, baste the entire neckline and then go back up. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do, and I'll be right back. All right, so here's what that looks like. Again, I just basted the entire neckline. Next, you're going to snip into that V right to the point, but not through your stitches. And I did show a V-neck in a little bit more detail in the tie up top video, so I'll put that right up here in the cards if you want to watch that, because I'm not going to go into too much detail in this one, but it's the same process here. So once you have snipped into your V, they say to quarter your neckline. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really quick. Okay, and then what you're going to do, as with any V-neck, is you're going to take the point of your V-neck, match that right up to the point of your neckline on your bodice. You're going to pivot and sew a couple inches on this side. Once you get to the point, pivot, keep your needle down, press your foot up, pivot again, and then turn it back, and then sew a couple of inches up on this side of the neckline. I recommend basting. That way, if your V-neck, if your points don't match up, you can just quickly and easily rip that out and then try again. So I'm going to go ahead and get this sewn on. Now, after I baste that point, what I'm going to do is then flip it over and just match up my quarter points on the neckband to the quarter points on the bodice, and then just continue sewing the entire rest of the neckband on. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I have my neckband all sewn on. Here's what it looks like. Came out really nice, actually. The next step is to top stitch. I haven't decided if I'm going to do that yet. I'm going to just finish this off and do my cuffs first, and then I'm going to try it on and decide if I want to bother with top stitching. So for your cuffs, I already went ahead and pressed mine in half, wrong sides together. So what you're going to do is unfold those, then match up the short ends right sides together, and go ahead and sew both of those short ends with the 3/8 inch seam allowance. All right, once that's done, you're going to fold your cuff in half, and I'm going to mark my halfway point. So fold it in half the seam, and the other side here is my halfway point, and I'm going to do the same with my sleeve. Mark the halfway point on my sleeve by folding it in half at the seam. And then I'm just going to match those points up as I pin my cuff on. Once I have that pinned on, it looks like this. I'm going to go ahead and sew that with the 3/8 inch seam allowance, and then repeat that with the other cuff. All right, we're all done. So here is what that looks like. There's our cuffs. I am going to, and that's my dog, sorry. I am going to, and I do recommend just pressing this. You can see I have a little bit of waviness going on here, but pressing that with some steam should get that out. And that is it. I'm going to finish my threads with some fray check as always. And then I'll have a nice cozy hoodie. All right, so thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate each and every one who subscribes, comments, likes the video, even just takes time out of your day to watch my videos. Sewing is my passion, and I just love making these videos, so I really do appreciate it. All right, leave a comment, let me know what you'd like to see me sew up next. As always, thank you so much for watching. Bye.